Attention please. Ridenour Clarinet Products, a division of Southern Star Clarinet Enterprises Incorporated, would like to announce this entire presentation has been done without the use of any teleprompters whatsoever. Though a few notes hastily scribbled down on paper in between segments of Glenbeck were used, and we probably would have used a teleprompter too, but we just can't afford one at this point. So we are requesting that if you do enjoy these presentations, that you would contribute to our teleprompter fund. So we too, like the politicians in Washington, can speak without knowing what we're talking about, reading the bill before we vote for it, or thinking at all for that matter. Okay, I think I've sort of got myself together here now, and I think this is sort of familiar. It's kind of confusing, you know, because I'm getting quite distracted while I'm doing this. Anyway, a YouTube viewer asked me to include a segment on barrels and bells, because so many people are looking around for barrels and bells, of course, obviously to make some improvement in their playing. And that's sort of been that way for quite a while now. But one of the big differences is the fact that people are charging so much money for them now, and they're making such exorbitant claims, and we really have kind of a boutique market growing up. And you certainly have the right, just as well as anyone else, to know that that what you're spending your money for, that you're getting your money's worth. And clarinet bells and barrels and clarinets themselves are no different than anything else. Before we actually talk about anything specifics, let's go in and talk about just a few basic things here. The first question really is that when we're looking, say, for a barrel, let's take barrels as the first item here. Exactly what do barrels do? What do barrels do? Well, the first thing that barrels do is they are probably the major way that we can adjust for the general tuning of the clarinet. Now, what barrels won't do is fix like one note. All right, it won't fix an isolated note, and it won't even really fix an isolated area sometimes, but what it will is generally move the pitch up and down, okay? And the way you do that is by having shorter and longer barrels. The B-flat clarinet, generally barrel lengths range from about 68 millimeters long to, you know, about 64 millimeters long. That's quite a few millimeters, and the reason you have those limits in lengths is because the clarinet has these pesky little things called throat tones, and the longer the barrel is, of course, the lower it's going to generally lower the pitch, but it doesn't lower the pitch evenly throughout. It lowers the throat tones much faster than it does the rest of the clarinet. So let's say the pitch lowers 10 cents by the additional lengthening of the barrel. The general pitch lowers 10 cents. Well, the throat tones might lower 15 cents or 20 cents. And the higher the clarinet is, the more sensitive the throat tones are. C clarinets, the more sensitive the throat tones. E flats, even more sensitive than the B flat. On the A clarinet, did I say, yeah, 63 millimeters is just about the shortest you can get a clarinet barrel for a standard clarinet. Now, there are some exceptions. Selmer clarinets, for instance, like the recital clarinet and the signature clarinet, these clarinets have very, very short barrels, and because of their acoustical design, and so you can't really take those barrel lengths that I mentioned in relationship to the Selmers, but you can say the Buffets, the Yamahas, my own clarinets for the most part, and other such models. But that's the main reason that clarinet players will use different barrels, is because they'll play in different organizations, different institutions that have that play with different pitch levels. You know, in Europe they play 442. In many places in England they play 440. In Australia 440. Japan really wants to go to 442. Over here we play, you know, it's hard to say, but generally we shoot for 440. And we feel lucky if we can hold it down to 441. Depending on the organizations, bands will tend to play quite sharp. So those are all things that to consider. Now, you know something, besides pitch, clarinet players think about the barrel in really more cuddly and more aesthetic ways than just the very unromantic ideas of pitch. And so we'll talk about those next. Besides pitch, clarinet players really select different barrels, usually for aesthetic reasons, sometimes what we call a related technical reason, and that is resistance. They're either trying to make their clarinets blow a little freer, or they're trying to make the clarinet blow with a little more resistance. Clarinets generally, or they're trying to fix something, like for instance, say the upper register is very, very bright in the instrument, and so they're looking around for a barrel that will have some of the properties that's going to even out that upper register and take some of the sharp, harsh edge off of it. All kinds of reasons, for coloristic reasons and aesthetic reasons, that barrels are chosen. Besides color, there's the issue of flexibility. Of course, barrels that blow freer are going to also give you de facto a little more flexibility. And barrels that blow with more resistance are going to bring the sound together. You know, there are certain acoustical designs that create quite a bit of instability in the sound, especially in the upper register. And so clarinet players are constantly looking around for something that's going to fix that. As a matter of fact, a whole industry has grown up around the inequities of a certain popular brand of clarinet. Clarinet players going crazy with mouthpieces, reeds, bells, and barrels, trying to really fix what's messed up in the clarinet. And the fact is that these things, like barrels, for instance, will never fix a problem that's, say, a relational resistance problem within the clarinet. It can only mask it to a certain degree. So there's never really any of the full satisfaction you should get with a solution like barrels, because the problem is not in the barrel. The problem is somewhere else, and the only way to fix it usually is to switch brands, or to switch, certainly at least switch acoustical designs. So anyway, barrels will not fix relational problems. It'll only mask certain things to a certain degree. So we have pitch, color, and shape. Color and flexibility. Those things are the major reasons that clarinet players look for barrels. Well, when we're going to select a barrel, what are some of the criteria that we look for?